Hi everyone, if you're looking for some knitting inspiration, this is the right place because I will be showing you some knitting patterns that I saved for myself, and I feel like most of these patterns are not very widely popular, not very widely known, so you might find something interesting that you haven't seen before. Let's jump right into it. All the names of the patterns will be on the screen, as well I will be showing you screenshots, pictures and whatnot, so this is the video you actually want to watch versus just listening to, but it's up to you, and all the links will be in the description as usual. Okay, let's start with the first pattern. It's called Rota jumper and the designer is Irene. I hope I'm not butchering any names. I will not go into details about this item. I'm not going to tell you what yarn or what needles to use. You can see all this information on the screen. Just otherwise this video going to be forever. I will just give you mostly my perspective, maybe some ideas and inspirations about this project. So this is technically like a summery, springy item. It's made out of cotton. She's using specifically a cotton braid, and it made as something like cropped and very like short-sleeved, something very summery. And besides cotton, I think other good yarns can be linen, or if you find some viscose, especially if it's in a chain. So if it's in a chain or a braid, so it has more definition. One thing about this pattern that I have to say, that I actually bought this pattern a while ago, and I tried to do a couple of samples. I didn't buy a specific yarn that the pattern calls for, because I usually never do it. I usually just use whatever is in my stash, because I have a huge stash. So I tried the yarns that I already had, and most of them didn't quite work. This particular pattern, this particular lace, it has very geometrical shape. It has very like straight lines. It has this like, I don't know, triangles or rhomboids, whatever they are called. And I would say that when you choose the yarn, you need something with very good definition. So you see, so you can actually see the shape. You can see this like three-dimensional shape of the sweater. Obviously, you can use any yarn you want, but in my experience, not all yarns, especially not all cotton yarns, look good on this pattern. It's just my opinion. Another good thing about this sweater, that if, let's say, you don't wear any summer knits or you don't have a need for a summer knit, if you made this pattern out of something like brushed alpaca or maybe a strand of mohair that everyone likes so much, that I discussed in my previous video, in my hot takes. But for this particular sweater, I feel like if you use like some fluffy yarn but has a very good definition, it can actually be like a somewhat winter item, because it's gonna just, the fluff gonna keep you warm. Obviously it's not gonna be as warm, but still. So I'm actually curious to see if anyone did anything from other types of yarns. This pattern has over 200 projects on Ravelry, so you can actually see what other people are making. And I will probably use a project page just to see what colors look good in this particular pattern, and also, you know, what fits people use, because I saw actually a couple of people using like oversized fit and actually looked good as well. And in my opinion, you definitely want to see how different yarns work in this particular pattern. Okay, I like this particular color. Let's see. Yeah, this is what I said. So look how this yarn looks. I mean, it looks like she didn't block the yarn, or I don't know, it's hard to say. Maybe she didn't block the yarn yet. Kind of get the idea what I mean. So if your yarn is very like plump, has very good definition, it looks different. Obviously, you might prefer this look, but for me, like, I feel like choosing the right yarn is quite important. Yeah, so you see, for example, this project, you want this, you know, kind of net style to be more prominent. Okay. Oh, the blue looks amazing. Yeah, some people, you see, like, made a little bit like a more oversized version, so I believe it's still gonna look good. This is slightly like a more oversized version. That looks good too. Yeah, so I feel like it's really like nice project, and you can do lots of things, and it actually works good in different colors and different yarns. Yeah, so this, for example, this particular yarn, you see how it's like, it doesn't have the stitch definition, but for this particular yarn, I would say it's not bad. It just has different, it's almost like looks like a different sweater, but it still looks really awesome. Oh yeah, this one looks good. That's another thing, you can make it out of certain yarn, and although it's very holey, but you can wear it on a shirt or a t-shirt or something like that to keep it warmer. I want to see if anyone did a winter version. Oh. Yes, I don't know what type of yarn it is. It can be like linen or maybe even cotton, but technically it can be even like merino. So I feel like this can be a very good idea. Yeah, so maybe I should consider using other yarns. The next project is called Wavvy Cable Sweater, and the designer is Lindsay Gagnon or something like this. Oh my god, it looks so good. There's something about this pattern that it, you know, it uses cables like arans, but at the same time it uses these little bobbles, which makes this pattern very like unique. This is something, when I usually buy a pattern, I try to find something that I would not come up with myself, something not basic that I can just find a pattern in a book and draft my own sweater. It's like something that, I don't know, something about it. And I really like how this pattern looks. I actually also have to say that I really like how it looks in this particular yarn. This yarn holds cables very well, so you see how like protruding they are, so they're like very plump, very thick, the cables. And this is, I think, something that's important when you choose a yarn for this project. You probably don't want a fluffy yarn, you want a yarn that's very like smooth and silky. Technically, I feel like this sweater would look awesome even in a cotton yarn. It would look really good, or any mixture. Okay, let's see what she's using. She's using some I think this is a Merino yarn, if I'm mistaken. Yeah, it is Merino. So she's technically using Merino yarn, but I would probably use some non-fluffy Merino yarn. Okay, let's look at the projects. Unfortunately, it only has 4 projects. So as I said, some of the patterns I'm talking about, they're not as popular, but I believe this pattern is really awesome. Okay, let's see. So in my opinion, it looks a little bit different in this yarn. So you see, and maybe it's even the same yarn, but like in a different colorway, but it does not... Yeah, maybe it is the same yarn, but I don't know, it doesn't look the same. And this is another one. This is more like fluffy yarn, and you see how different the pattern looks. Again, this is obviously taste preference. Is not something that I'm gonna tell you what to do, but just in my particular opinion, like all these projects that I see, I don't quite like. I literally like how it looks on this photo. When the yarn has 0 fluff, it just looks like that. So I would definitely do this project if I find the right yarn. And I'm actually thinking finding something either cotton merino mix or something like merino silk mix, something that's going to give this definition. One thing about this pattern that many people probably not going to like about it, first of all, let me see. I'm not sure what is this construction. Yeah, so it's bottom up. I know not many people like bottom up. I'm actually a big fan of bottom up, flat seams and stuff like that. Okay, this one is knitted in a round, and I guess then she splits into front and back piece, so it's a little bit easier. So one thing that not everyone will like this pattern, because it has lots of purling. Yeah, as you can see, like most stitches are purled and then the cable is knitted. So if you're not a purler, something I would probably suggest you to look into different ways to do the purling. For example, like I love purling because the way how I purl, it's very easy. What is it called? Maybe it's called Norwegian style, the way how I do. Maybe it's even a mixture of different styles. But if you haven't tried different purling styles, Google for Norwegian style and then see what other styles exist. So there are easier purling methods that gives you much faster, much easier work process. It's not even about the speed, but just like gives you less hassle doing it, and you will enjoy more. Because I heard many people talking about how they hate purling, and I never understood it because it doesn't matter. It's like the same for me. But maybe because the method I use is a little bit easier than what other people use. Okay, next one. Now let's talk about the vest for a change. This one is called Fruity Slipover, and it's made by HipKnitShop. I'm actually following this account on Instagram, and it gives me so much joy because everything that this designer does, I don't know, it just hits the right spot for me. It's colorful, it's bright. I really want to actually shift into more knitting this type of items. I really like this bright stuff. So this is the vest. It made actually with like a bulky yarn, so it should be easy project. And what is interesting, it's not quite a color work, the typical extended color work. It's not quite an intarsia. So the way how she explains it, that the vest is knitted top to bottom and fruits are knitted in. I don't quite understand this technology, but I would say that since she's using this fluffy yarn, the base yarn, she just adds another color, which I probably understand how it's done for this like white one. So you just have this white. It can be like brushed alpaca, it can be some other types of brushed yarn, so anything fluffy and lightweight, or I guess maybe they use mohair. Let me actually see. Yeah, mohair merino mix. Anything like fluffy, and then you just add another strand of this yarn that adds the color. So it makes sense. So it should be very easy, I think, like easier than regular color work. So if you're looking into color work projects but not quite ready yet, maybe consider this one. She has 2 designs. There are strawberries and there are lemons. I really like the lemons ones. It's actually in my queue as well. I really want to make it one day. I don't have yarn for it. I don't know if I'm gonna buy like right away, but next time I'm ordering yarn, I will definitely consider buying yarn for this project. I really like it. Okay, let's look at the projects. There are 20 projects. These are such amazing patterns, and then they barely have any projects. Wait, is it in Tarsha or not? The way how it's done doesn't look like it's in... I don't know, is it in Tarsha? Maybe not. Okay, so I don't know nothing how she does it. It does look like in Tarsha. No, it looks actually like color, like stranded color work, because I see the floats. Okay, I know nothing about the construction. Maybe I lied to you, but this is up to you. You can read the description. So in my opinion, the way how it looks in other yarns, it's still like very cool. So it's still something, you know, you would want to wear. But in my opinion, for this particular pattern, at least for the first time, I would definitely use like some fluffy yarn because it has completely different look. But some people don't like fluffiness, so it can be done. So this is a little bit like a yarn that has like some fluffiness to it, but not to the same extent as mohair. I don't know. I don't know. I really like the original design. Like I like this when you have these bright lemons. Like this is something I really like. Interesting. Okay, let's see other designs. But you can definitely play with colors and other things. Yeah, so I really like this project. I think I need it. And technically, yeah, if you use something like a cotton yarn or linen or what, I mean, linen, it's hard to find linen in the bright colors, but if you use like maybe other like summer yarns, you can even have like a summer short like that. Could be something cool. I really like this pattern. Okay, next one. Since we're talking about summer, let me show you my new obsession. I'm actually recently obsessed with knitting a polo short. I spent, I don't know how much time looking at different references, looking at different patterns, like choosing which pattern I'm gonna knit. And I want to have a crocheted polo, I want to have knitted polo, I have all sorts of like stockinette stitch polo. I want to have something like this one that looks like more like a net. I don't know, I'm super obsessed. I think that this trend was there for a couple of years already, but I'm just catching up, I guess. Anyway, so this one is called Polo Nerina by designer Elodie Courtat or something like this. I hope I'm not mistaken. And this is how it looks like. So for this, it seems like she's using very small definition yarn, and this is crochet. So this particular designer, she actually has lots of polo shirts. So if you go to her profile, she has many different items, and I actually couldn't choose which one to do. Okay, this is not exactly polo, but I mean, it can be made into polo. Let me see what else. So just in general, like crocheted shorts is something I really like. Anyway, so if you're also interested, check her profile. She has lots of awesome crochet stuff. And specifically this t-shirt I like very much, and I like the colors. Unfortunately, there are no projects, so we can't judge whether somebody already tried to do it, but I think it's something interesting. And if you're gonna try it, let me know in the comments how it turned out. Next one is the sweater. So we're going back to more like winter versions. It's called Westward sweater by Tayler or Tayler Harris. Now let me show you. It has different color options, but I specifically like a black and white version. And I think maybe next year I will make this sweater. This year probably not, because I just finished my Hollywood sweater that is also in black and white. So I was like, okay, it's a little bit too much black and white in my life. But for example, it looks good in this color. But in my opinion, the black and white looks specifically striking. And I think they're using this like slip stitches to create this color work. Let me see if they say something about it. Yarn finished. So it's a top-down version. Yes, she mentioned something about slipping stitches. So I think this is a quite easy color work project because... I don't know, am I mistaken or not? You know how when you only carry one yarn and then you bring the second one. Okay, anyway, if you like it, you're going to figure it out because I'm not knitting it right now, so I didn't really look at it. Yeah, so this is how it looks in other colors. I feel like specifically black and white looks better, and especially when it has like very high contrast, like something like this. When it doesn't have like high contrast, in my opinion, it doesn't look as striking. It still has a right to exist, but for my opinion, you want like this, like something like this for me is like not enough contrast. You definitely want something like this one, like pink and purple or whatever, aubergine. I don't know what is this color. Yeah, I think in my opinion, black and white, that's going to be my option. That's something I'm going to do next year probably, unless I change my mind. Okay, let's go to the next one. Next one looks more basic, no color work or any complicated stuff. You know, in case if you're looking for something more basic looking, but at the same time something interesting to knit, this can be your option. So this is a sweater called Foldlines. It's by Norah Gaughan, if I am not mistaken. She's actually quite famous knitwear designer, and she wrote lots of books. And I actually own a couple of books from her. So technically, if you're in North America, you can find her books in a library sometimes. I think I checked out a couple of books with her designs. And in her books, you can see pattern, and there are even some sweaters. Maybe the sweater is actually part of the book. I would say like the sweater fit is not maybe the most modern or something that I would personally knit. Again, it's a preference, but you can always, you know, adjust the fit. But I think she has very good designs. And if you have never heard about her and you like this geometrical style of, you know, pattern, check her out. She has really good things. Okay, there are 300 projects. Let's see. Also, what's interesting about this pattern, it's not very difficult because you see she uses lots of like a garter stitch. It's a mixture of twisted stitches, but it's not super complicated. You'll probably have to look at the chart a lot when knitting this, but at least it's something interesting, and it's not super difficult. It's just probably like a meticulous project. You know what's cool about this project? If you have a very chunky yarn and if you like to do alterations, I think this would look very good in a chunky yarn. The only problem that your sweater will be either very much bigger or you will have to do adjustments. The sweater is knitted flat and then it's like sewn together. This is the construction. If I would make this sweater, I would definitely do something more oversized and probably cropped, as I usually do. Ooh, it looks good in red. Yeah, certain colors look really good. I mean, technically it can be even summery sweater. You can make it out of like cotton yarn. You definitely want a yarn that is, again, a little bit smooth, that you can actually see this shade, because it's like almost like a shaded pattern. I don't know how it's called. Yeah, it looks good. I would probably not necessarily use something like this, like textured yarn or very like sparkled, stripy or whatever, speckled yarn. You know, you're not going to see the design, but again. Okay, yeah, it looks good in white. It looks really good in this particular white. Yeah, that's another actually good project can be a good project for the summer if you just use some cotton yarn. Anyway, so you got the idea. So I feel like it's something like a basic sweater, but at the same time it has a little interesting details. Okay, next one. Let's talk about this blouse. It's called the Bygone blouse by Lydia Morrow. And I really love that blouse. Again, it's like a little bit something unique because everyone is knitting vests or sweaters or cardigans, and we don't have that many designs of like a fitting blouses, something, you know, something like that. Technically, you can adjust this pattern. You can even make it into something more like winter, like for cold weather. If you make longer sleeves and use merino wool, you can use some summery wool. So there are many things that can be done. And I really like how she used these colorful buttons. But again, you can use whatever, but I really like this little detail. Also, what I like, this pattern seems to be very size inclusive because, so I was trying to show you that she's actually using darts. I don't know if darts are included in a pattern, but if they are, that's awesome. Yeah, I think she has I see this H. Yeah, so I assume that she does have this. Okay, let's look at the project. There are 72 projects. Ooh, I like this blue color. I don't know why, but recently I'm into colors. I really like how colors look like. Never cared about them before, but recently I'm obsessed with colors. Ooh, that's interesting. That's something very creative too. And actually another thing, if you don't want to have a blouse, you can adjust it into having it as a t-shirt. That's a cool thing too. Ooh, I like this cropped version. Yeah, I think it's a good idea to make something in really bright color. I don't know about speckled yarn. You guys like those speckled yarns? You know me, I'm not a big fan. But actually, this speckled yarn actually looks good on this blouse. I'm not a big fan of speckled yarn, but I guess that's one of the ways to use them. It gives some spice. Okay, this is also speckled, but not as speckled as the rest. Actually, I like this design. Yeah, many people probably, I guess, use a hand-dyed yarn. And I would say it's probably a good project. Let's say if you like hand-dyed yarn and you want to buy some expensive hand-dyed yarn, since it's such a tight fitting and in general smaller than your regular sweater project, you would need less yarn. So it's actually a good project for something, I don't know, you can make some cashmere silk project or something silk merino, something that you don't want to spend on the whole sweater, but will be good for a t-shirt. Oh, that's interesting too. Yeah, this is like, you can be as creative as you want, adding different colors. You can even use basically waste yarn and stuff like this. Yeah, I really like this. Oh my god, this is really crazy and creative. Yeah, so I mean, you can go to town with projects like that. Anyway, I think it's a good project. I would probably do it in some bright color. And the interesting part is that I usually don't wear like tight-fitting garments, but this particular blouse I really like. Okay, next one. Let's talk about this sweater. I feel like there are two types of knitters. Some people just like to knit something basic, something that can be like more long-lasting in terms of their wardrobe. So it's something they can, I don't know, wear forever and, I don't know, pass on from generation to generation. I mean, probably, fortunately, nobody does this anymore, but something more basic that just you can, fit into more styles. And then there are other people who just prefer to knit something very exciting, very unique, very almost like crazy looking. I'm probably more to this group, but once in a while I have a need to knit something simple, something basic, something that doesn't strike as something that will be hard to style. So this is the sweater I would probably choose. This is it's called Need More Sweater, and the designer is, I assume, Nanhee Myung. I don't know. Okay, this is a complicated name for me. I'm not good. Anyway, I actually saw somebody on YouTube from people I'm subscribed to knitted this particular sweater, and they were very pleased with the construction, with design, with the Technically, this is actually a raglan construction by the way how it's done. You know how usually the raglan just goes straight towards your armpit, but the way how this raglan is shaped in this design, it has a little bit like more like softer slope. So instead of going straight, it goes first towards, you know, shaping your shoulder, and then it goes down. I feel this is probably much better fit than most raglans. It looks different, looks unique. I like how she did decreases on the raglan. It looks very neat, to be honest, and I like how the sweater looks like. So it has 46 projects. Let's see. Like, for example, if I was about to buy some cashmere yarn and I would want to, obviously, the sweater to last me for a long time because the cashmere is expensive, I would probably choose this particular pattern for that. Yeah, see how here you can see the shape of the raglan. It's very like interesting slope. It's actually a very good construction. I feel like it's going to fit many people. Unless you have very straight shoulders, then maybe you need some adjustment. But maybe even in that case, seems like a very good pattern. You see, you can add a little bit design to it. For example, you can add stripes on the cuffs and on the neckline, and it's already going to look a little bit different. Yeah, technically you can even do your usual color work because it's like top-down sweater. But unfortunately, in this particular, I don't like it because, you know, raglan creates very square shaped. They almost like don't really fit together, but technically it can be done. I mean, you can play with colors, that's another thing. But again, the reason I don't particularly like stripes in a raglan, because when the line breaks, so basically where you have this raglan line, when the colors meet in there, they will always have a very sharp angle, and usually it doesn't look very good. Let's see. Ooh, looks good in. Yeah, looks good in red. Good project if you're looking for something basic, if you're using a project for like because they're using fingering weight yarn. But actually they have 24 stitches and 36. Yeah, so if you use something to utilize like a very fine yarn, this is a project. Next one. This is a cherry cardigan by Soumine Kim. And this is amazing. I really like this project. I also saved it to my queue. Don't know when I'm gonna do it because I don't have a yarn for it. Technically, you can use different color of yarn, but I like specifically how it looks in red. She's using, I think, a moss stitch, and then she has made these little baubles. It will probably pain in the ass to make this cardigan, because I just imagine doing all these baubles and then doing the embroidery for the cherries. Okay, let's look. There are 14 projects. So this is orange. Wait, is it different? Yeah, somebody did different designs. So instead of using cherries, they just used different types of baubles. That's another thing. If you feel like, oh, cherries are a little bit too silly for your taste, I feel like they're cute, but for some people, they might be like, oh, it's too childish or something. Then you can just do different type of bubbles. Oh my god, I don't know. I feel like cherries, the red. Oh my god, I just need this cardigan. Yeah, somebody did it in gray. In my opinion, it doesn't look as cute. In my opinion, it looks like something weird is hanging. But this is just, it's me. Okay, pink. I don't know about pink. One thing about this project, I would say that definitely make a swatch, because she's using a moss stitch. And in my opinion, there are yarns that don't look good in moss stitch. They just get very messy, and they don't have like, they just look like you're just messed up your project. And then there are other yarns. Actually, for example, this one, I think it's a moss stitch. Look how good it looks in this yarn. The definition of this little like dots is so good. So like this yarn, I think it's a mix of merino and viscose, or merino cotton, something like this. I don't remember, but like this particular yarn, look how good it holds cables. It looks like holds merino. So this is what I say usually when you choose a yarn. Not all yarns look good in the same pattern, in the same design. But this is my opinion. I'm not here to tell you what to do. Okay, next one. Since I am including different items, vests, cardigans, blouses, let me also include the round yoke, because there are maybe some people who specifically like to knit only round yokes. I'm usually actually not the fan of round yokes, and I only made 2 in my life. I feel like they don't necessarily look good on me because I have very narrow shoulders, and that's why like the yokes are usually, and I'm also a short person, so the yokes are usually don't fit in here. And also they have a particular, I feel like they have a particular style that doesn't fit my style. But there are some designs that actually contradict to what I say, and this is one of them. So it's called Kalaloch Pullover by Kate Gagnon. Maybe not Gagnon, Osborn. So what I like, for example, about this pattern, it has this also geometrical designs, and I feel like sometimes the round yokes, they can be too romantic for my tastes. When you have more geometric shapes, when you have more like stripes versus like some other elements of design, they can give you a different vibe. And I feel like this particular sweater actually does give you a different vibe. You don't quite even immediately think of it as a round yoke. Also, it's a good project because you can either do it as a summer, like I would probably use like some viscose yarn or like some like maybe linen, something like that. So it can be actually nice like a summer sweater, or you can use something fluffy like mohair, alpaca, or you can use a regular merino. So I feel like it can be utilized in different yarns, and technically you can go to town and do like even different stripes. So you see like this, each round has like a particular like chart, so you can start each chart with different color. Okay, let's see, 77 projects. Yeah, in my opinion, this design would definitely look good in black because it's going to be very like subtle. Maybe using something like a black silk, black linen. And you know what's interesting? You can actually do a yoke in one yarn and then do the bottom in a different yarn. Obviously, you'll have to do swatches to make sure that everything fits, but that could be actually interesting. Imagine like make the upper part more like a lacy and the bottom part like a very like a stockinette stitchy. Yeah, it can be very interesting if you play with this lace. Here I actually can see the lace. So this is also a good way to practice different patterns. Yeah, so one thing about this round yoke, as I said, when you have lots of patterns around the yoke becomes large and your armpit is going to be somewhere really in the bottom. So it's a very long yoke. So for short people, it can be a problem. You will either have to deal with the oversized shape or just reduce the amount of yokes. I don't know how you call those things. It's also another thing, you can use different yarns. So for example, like you can use one row of pattern in like more like thick yarn, and then the next one in more like fingering lace weight. So I would definitely, if I would make this sweater, I would probably try different things with it. But definitely, I don't know, in my opinion, actually definitely looks good in gray and black. Or something white. Oh yeah, oh, this one is really good. Actually, this is probably my favorite. Yeah, you see how long is the yoke? It almost becomes a dress. I mean, it's a very unique design. Not everyone might like it, but I don't know. There's something about this design I really like, but I would probably add some alterations to it. Yeah, I really like how it looks in white. Something I noticed that if you have this design that you feel like, oh, it's too overbearing. Like, for example, for me, round yokes are always overbearing. I feel like they're too much for my style. Like, too much is happening in there. So it's always good to think of yarn choice and color choice that is not overbearing. That's why like I feel like for certain like sweaters that have too much going on, if you just choose like something like white or beige or black or gray, they can be less overbearing. Usually I'm not a fan of those colors, but for this particular purposes it can be very. Oh yeah, this one looks good. This one you see like they did a little bit of alterations and it's not as long, the yoke. See, yeah, I really like it. Yeah, I feel like there's something interesting about it. Yeah, here the person played with colors. That's another thing. If you feel like, oh, there's not enough happening in this yarn, in this pattern, then you can actually add stripes. I think it's a good summer project. And also I have so much linen yarn. That's a good way to utilize linen yarn. Let's go to the next one. Okay, now let's talk about this vest. Oh my god, this particular designer, I discovered this designer this year, maybe like half a year ago, and I'm obsessed. I'm literally obsessed with everything the designer made. For this particular roundup, I decided to choose a vest because I think they have a complicated construction enough, so maybe it's good to start with the vest. But I personally think I might do a sweater. Okay, so this is called a Big Bird vest, but they also have not a sweater, they also have a cardigan. And the designer name is Grey Leather Knitter. And here's what we get. We have mix of yarn. So we have boucle yarn, the gray one. We have white yarn, probably like merino. Then we have a green yarn. We have different pockets, so you can actually practice doing pockets. You can practice using alternating yarns, and you can practice color work. And it's interesting because this color work is not very colorful, but basically you play with the usage of different yarn, and not just different yarn, but different texture. One is fluffy alpaca and one is more like smooth. And I think it's really interesting. I mean, this looks like something I would buy in store. So it would be kind of interesting to attempt to make it. There are different colors if you don't like green. And here she has a bird in blue. I kind of like both. I like a blue and I like gray. But something about me, I already have a lot of gray alpaca, so I'm just going to utilize my alpaca. Yeah, I feel like this is such a unique project. I like it so much. This is number 25 in my queue, but I'm probably going to move it up. I'm not going to make it now, but maybe close to next winter, I will definitely make some project because I have lots of gray alpaca. Let's look at the projects. Let's see what people are making. Okay, if you want something more subtle colors, that can be done too. This is interesting. Not sure if I'm into this particular colors, but it's interesting. Pink, that's interesting too. Yeah, I don't know what I like design. And I think while doing this project, you're also going to learn lots of things like pockets and different little things you have to think about. So it's like a very creative project in my opinion. One thing I don't like that people don't make it oversized, but then I understand not everyone likes oversized, but I feel like this vest looks better when it's oversized. But oh, it's interesting. It's probably like double-sided color work. So this is also something to do that I never did. You see, it's like a double-sided color work. Interesting. Oh, that's a good color choice too. Wait, somebody decided to do something similar but completely different. I don't know, maybe it's saved in the wrong place. Anyway, here is it, Big Bird West. Okay, let's see what we have left in here. We have 3 more patterns left. This is actually a double pattern. I saw a bunch of people knitting the Fortuna wheel sweater, but there are also pants. So I don't quite know if I would ever attempt to do this type of pants, but I think it's like so awesome. If you ever wanted to have knitted pants, why not have something as crazy as this? I really like the sweater as well. Maybe one day I make a, you know, the whole the whole set. I don't know about that, but I really like this design. It's extremely creative. I don't know, it's really awesome. So if you haven't seen the sweater, because there is also a sweater pattern, check it out. And let's look at the project. So these are just pants. Oh my god, this is so awesome. And I actually like this color choice. Ooh, pink looks good too. Oh yeah, in pink looks awesome. I don't feel very confident in the knitted pants because I feel like they make me shorter and thicker in my legs. And I don't feel very secure. I wish I was skinny legs. Yeah, this is awesome. Seems like a very good fit. Oh my god, this is so awesome. Okay, now I want these pants. I don't know, maybe next year. Pants seems like so much work. You know how most of us we hate knitting sleeves? So imagine it just knitting an endless sleeve. That's exactly what a pant is. It's knitting an endless sleeve. Unless you knit it, I don't know. Do the people knit it flat? I don't think so. Otherwise you can knit it flat, but it's too much hassle sewing it together. Yeah, you can really play with colors. You can really go crazy. Yeah. And 2 more patterns, I believe. And those gonna be actually 3 patterns. The pattern number 1, it's socks. I decided we need to include something small as well. These ones are extremely cute. This is a free pattern. I believe you have to download it from a website. They give you a chart and you can make socks like that. Let's see, it has only 9 projects. I guess you can play with different colors, utilize whatever yarn you have. Yeah, I think it's a cute project. And another free project is extremely crazy, and let me show you. This one is a free pattern. I don't know how good is the pattern. It's probably just a chart, but look at this. So if you're looking for something like a color work, extremely intricate, extremely unique, check this one out. And I can't believe like somebody made this chart and they're offering it for free. And they say it's a chart based on a design from a vintage pullover produced by Viking Strick in the 80s. Somebody asked about it on Reddit, so somebody spent some time charting it. It includes the PDF and the main motif, as well as a small chart for the flower, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so it's called Osberg Tapestry Sweater by Molly Gifford. So Molly is not the original designer. She's the one, I guess, who charted it for people. So this is how it's going to look like. Oh, somebody's making it on a knitting machine. Interesting. I wonder if they're making the whole thing on the knitting machine. Yeah, this item is absolutely crazy. I really love it. Technically, if you can go to town, you can make some home decor, like a pillowcase or a blanket or something like this if you don't need a sweater like that. That would be also cool as a cardigan. Let's say you can have a more subtle front of the cardigan, but then have this thing on your back. Yeah, there is so many things you can do with it, and I can't believe it that it's actually free. Okay, I guess that's it for today. I hope you liked any of the patterns. If you already tried any of the patterns that I talked about, or you saw somebody knitting those patterns, leave the information below so me and other people can check it out. You can just mention what other YouTuber or whatever person already did this and maybe talked about this pattern, or if you have any other information. And if you like this type of inspirational video, let me know. I'm definitely sure it's going to be not the last one. Not sure when I'm going to produce the next one. But I do have lots of things saved to my favorites, and it's definitely more than I can knit. So I want to share with you my inspiration in case I don't need it. Maybe somebody else does. And I would love to see what are you guys doing. Okay, bye-bye. Hi, everyone. If you're looking for some knitting inspiration, this is the right place for you.
Lemon plants and cactus too. You see me and I see you. Lemon plants and cactus too. You see me and I see you. You see me and I see you.